back to Women Making Moves, where we celebrate the moves that women are making. My name is Amy Pons, founder of Unlock the Magic Coaching and Healing. I'm joined today with Sherolde Hackett. Sherolde is a transformational leader in mental health, coaching, and advocacy, dedicated to empowering women to heal, thrive, and reclaim their well-being. As the founder of the Nurture Group and Nurture the Soul Women's Counseling, she provides high-quality mental health services that address the enduring impact of trauma, adversity, and systemic barriers on women's mental and emotional health. A licensed clinical social worker, EMDR trained therapist, and certified in Hatha Yoga and instinctive meditation, Sherolde blends evidence-based therapy with holistic practices to guide her clients toward healing and resilience. Her work focuses on helping high-achieving women, particularly Black women, break free from imposter syndrome, perfectionism, and overfunctioning, enabling them to embrace their worth and create lives rooted in confidence and balance. In addition to her clinical work, Sherolde is the founder of Be the Balanced Woman, a coaching and personal development platform designed to support women in dismantling racialized self-doubt and reclaiming their power. Her signature program, Rooted to Rise, offers a structured path to self-trust, empowerment, and ease. A recognized voice in maternal and child health, Sherolde has co-authored Employing Community Voices, Informing Practice and Programming through Camden Healthy Start Focus Groups, published in the Maternal and Child Health Journal. She has been featured in media interviews on Black infant and maternal mortality and Black maternal health, and was named a Superwoman by South Jersey Magazine for her contributions to the field. With a bachelor's degree in sociology from Spelman College and a master of social work from Boston University, Sherolde brings a wealth of knowledge, compassion, and expertise to her work. She is committed to fostering resilience, self-mastery, and holistic well-being, ensuring that women have the tools to heal, set boundaries, and step fully into their power without apology. Sherolde, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy.
I find so many synchronicities with your bio, of course, and it just feels so academic and achieved. And it really and for me as a newer, I'll say newer, quote unquote, newer coach over the past 2 years, although I've been coaching my entire life, my unique brilliance, my innate soul work has always been to be on the forefront of humanity, to help people remember that it's okay and to feel okay and to trust their own unique brilliance, which is where I feel, especially in this time and place, that we're all being called to turn back to. And it's so hard. I was a 20-year corporate executive and I just got the memo, about 5 years ago. So that's what struck me. I was like, wow, you have so much that you've accomplished. And that's not to say any of us are better or worse than each other, but it just, I feel and I recognize all the work that you do. Not that it's the same, because no one can do what we do, how we do it, but I just feel so many synchronicities with our work.
Well, thank you for that. It's interesting to hear as you read it. And I'm like, who's that girl sometimes? And that's probably why I do the work I do, because I completely understand when we feel like, yeah, but that's not anything, right? Oh no, surely there's someone that's more credentialed and more of this than I am. And so, like my clients, I have struggled with imposter syndrome and just downplaying what I've done. And instead, it's important to recognize that what I've done and who I have touched, just like when you're on a yoga mat, it's your practice. It's the same in walking our purpose out. What I've done and who I have touched has been aligned with who I'm supposed to touch.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. We beautifully call in. I can always tell where I'm at internally by who I call in, like
Mhm.
who I receive. And I'm like, okay, awesome, amazing mirror. I find my work these days, and it'll continue evolving. It's so gorgeous and exquisite that I get to feel first
Mhm.
into every interaction or every kind of task, anything. I get to feel it first and say, is this in alignment or out of alignment? If it's out, I give myself permission to say no, thank you. And
Yeah.
I think the interesting part, you've said imposter syndrome, a lot of people, humans really hate that term. And also I heard a lot of women say that they don't like when we say like giving women permission, and that's something I said. All these things that we call it, no matter what the words are, for me at least, I'm not suggesting that women need permission. I'm suggesting that when you get into a space where someone has the capacity to hold you at your highest vibration, that allows you. I guess it's not really permission. I don't really know what to call it. It's like you just feel safe enough to walk in your fullest expression.
But you know what, Amy, I don't think you have to apologize for using the phrase giving women permission because sometimes that's exactly what they need to hear. Some women I know that come before you, that come before me, need me to say, it's okay. Okay. And for those who want to get stuck in the thick about that, I mean, really, they need to do their own work as to why that is triggering them
You're right.
because it's the least important thing to be caught up on, the least important. But when you are doing your work and you've allowed yourself to be a vessel whereby others get their healing, if that is what flows from you in that moment, that is what needs to be present for that person right then. And you get affirmed afterwards. You know you hit it, right? And that's what's important. I think we've come to a time in this world where we are so much about the little things, the really, really small, insignificant things, and we make those things by ways that we can not see that we are connected to one another, other than seeing that I'm connected to you. And if I just tap into that connection, I feel you when you enter a room, right? I feel you when you need me to be soft or when you need me to be just a little bit strong for you. So don't apologize. That's what comes forth, honey.
Thank you so much for that. My superpower is feeling that discernment of what the person in my energy space needs in that moment,
Yeah,
especially if I'm there to serve them.
yeah.
Because, of course, I will never coach without consent, but I can feel where someone is and where they're trying to get to. That's not what I went to school for, but that's what I've always been able to just know inside me and feel. And now I get to walk in that.
Okay, everything isn't about the credential. If you understand that we come here with a purpose already in place, then you understand you can look back to your childhood and there were little things about you that told you then that this is what you would be doing today, right? And so those are things that are in you. You don't have to get educated for that. My clients can sometimes come on because I have a virtual practice. They can come on, and I'm telling you, in about 2.3 seconds, I can tell, okay, what's going on. Because they'll come on and say, hey, Cheryl, and uh, uh, what did I see there? And they're like, what? Cheryl, I can't, and it's like I'm in tune like that. That I could not learn at Boston University, as great of an institution that it is. That is something that's just in me, was given to me, and I've learned to tap into that unapologetically.
Same. Finally, it took me 40 years. But to your point, I love that I felt it when I was about 4 or 5 years old. And what I was able to discern in my tiny little body, I remember feeling a stomach ache
Mm.
around different people or situations that I knew either weren't safe or weren't for my favorite self or going to be fanning my flame. And I didn't know what to do with that back then. I was always in and out of doctors for a quote unquote an ulcer. Nothing was physically wrong. It was energetic, of course. And so I've had
Mm.
it my entire life, and now I get to beautifully walk into it. And again, I get to choose to opt into or opt out of any of those vibes that I feel are wobbly or not going to be in my best interest.
Yeah, I have two beautiful grandkids, but they are so connected still to that.
Yes.
And you're right. And I always say what we do as people, and we don't do it most of the time on purpose, but what we do is we're trying to teach children, no, just talk to them when we push those children to adults that they don't want to go to. And we're saying, go hug your uncle or go do this. And that child is screaming and yelling that they don't want to do that. Something in their soul is saying no. And I think as adults, we need to learn to pay attention to that. They're not fully, I don't feel like they're fully in this world like we are. And so just like we recognize it with animals, right? Because I have a dog. A storm can be hours away. And she starts sitting up under me. She's a pit bull, but she's a pitiful pit bull. She comes and she sits up under me and she's shaking. And I'm like, what is wrong? And maybe I didn't watch because I don't watch a lot of television, but she'll come sit up under me and I could go to the bank every time that a storm is coming. She knows it. Okay. Instinctively, she knows it. Why do we think as humans we don't have those same giftings and that children don't have those giftings? And we act as if they're waiting to get here to be molded.
Right. We need to let them mold us a little bit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
remember when it was like cool to feel your feels and be
Mm-hmm.
authentic? Remember that?
Yeah. And so I know my grandson, I just love that little boy. Oh, you know, when you're a mom, it's like, oh, I just love my child. But then they give birth to your grandkids, and you're like, out of the way. Me at that grandkid. And my daughter is so funny because every time she either comes over or I go over to their place, as soon as I walk in, she'll snatch the baby like back. Like, no, you're going to acknowledge that I'm here first. You know?
Like, mom, that's amazing. I chose not to have kids myself, and
Mhm.
well, that's a part of a much bigger story. I'm the cycle breaker in the family,
Mhm.
and so it ends with me. All of the generational
Yeah.
violence, trauma. It ended with me, and I made the very conscious decision there. And I'm healing on behalf of all my lineage. That's a big part of my purpose here too.
Yeah, that lineage work, right? That
Right,
that
right.
ancestral stuff. I believe wholeheartedly in that. I get up every morning and I call my ancestors names and I tell them to place all of their wisdom that they have, all of their strength that they gained on this earth. And what's really interesting is every time I say Vernon Douglas Smith Jr., it's like, wow, because that was my son
Mm.
and he only lived for 2 days. But yet I call him out as one of my ancestors now. But yeah, our ancestors have given us knowledge, but they've also given us their pains. And so some of us are on this journey to heal those pains. And if yours was to make the decision, it stops here, it stops with me, and this is how I'm called to do it. Who can question that? And why would they spend the time trying to? You know?
Because it's just not common to say those things out loud or to have awareness around it.
Mhm.
As a 42-year-old woman, I've gotten asked my entire life, why don't we have kids? First of all, that's a question that probably should just fade out into the
It
distance. But
should. It should.
because who knows that I tried and couldn't, right? We don't know.
Right.
But at any given time, I have thousands of women around me, like from my entire lineage. And they've chosen me. They chose me to be the one. And specifically in this time and place, and I am healing on behalf of my mother. That's one of my main purposes here. And to guide my father. Like it's just incredible work when you realize, Ooh,
I know, no, I'm feeling that.
right? Like I'm starting to get itchy in my crown because that's
Yeah,
like my guides are beaming into me. I feel
yeah,
okay. I'm okay. I'm safe. But just like that gravity of understanding that, whew. I think I probably always knew it and I suppressed it for so long that it's going to continue to be my work. But that's where kind of what you and I were talking about before we hit record. There will be days where it's stronger, heavier. Things don't feel good in the kind of physical day to day. And it's not about being a Pollyanna or being like, oh, buck up, everything's okay. And oh, other people have it worse. And oh, this and that. Oh, taking a deep breath, feeling your feels. What doesn't feel good? And
where's that located?
yes, where is it? Which energy center? Which chakra? You can
Hmm.
always trace it back to something that's happening within you.
Yeah,
And if you are ready or able to go find it and see if there's a root to it, and you don't have to solve it all right then and there, but just having simple awareness and then allowing for, okay, this hurts inside me, and I'm so grateful to be in this time and place. In my experience, gratitude is some of the best medicine to be able to help ourselves feel better while, again, feeling what hurts all the way up, the volume all the way up.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes gratitude itself is our saving grace,
Mm.
right? It is that thing that makes us take a step back from the edge when we're feeling really like no hope, when we take those moments of gratitude. But we also need to know that it's okay to feel, to feel. I give my clients a emotion wheel because sometimes highly intelligent women have forgotten how to describe their feelings. And so, when I give them this will and I say, okay, let's look at that, and I remind them, I say, did you see Inside Out? Because most of us adults have seen it, which is hilarious.
And Inside Out 2 is even more, it's like,
I
whoa.
know, right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, we got those six basic emotions there, but let's reclaim our vocabulary around some of these other ways these emotions are expressed that make us feel like when we say these things, we feel like we've really hit that nail on the head, So we have to give language to it, and women need to reclaim that speaking about your feelings is nothing wrong with that. For men, speaking your feelings is nothing wrong with that. Give that thing a name because then you can deal with it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Otherwise you're like, I don't know what it is. I don't know where it's located in my body. I'm so disconnected. And that makes people feel like their anxiety is up and depression is weighing them down. But then when they learn, I can call this thing a thing, and then I can put in some pull in some tools out of my toolkit to help me deal with that thing, then it's okay. And then teaching them about compassion. I had to learn it. Even when I was doing yoga and it would say, let's have compassion with ourselves in the pose. I'm like, what does that mean right now? I can't breathe. This thing doesn't feel good. And, all of that. But it was on the mat that I came to understand that it is just accepting myself right where I am, not looking to my left or my right, trying to figure out what is right, which may be right for that person on that mat to the left or right, but may not be right for my body or my internal experience in that moment. There are days I can do certain poses, then there are other days that pose just it won't. It just won't. But getting to the place where we can find that compassion without judgment and say, you know what? This is what it is. It's neither good, like you said, or bad. It just is. And
Just
right now, I just feel despair if that's what I'm feeling.
And just let it. And if you don't feel called to work through it, don't at that moment. Just have awareness. That's it.
Mhm.
That's all it's asking for. And it's pretty amazing. And I even, this is my work to do. I feel a little bit of an activation when I hear people like, "Hi, how are you? Good. How are you? Good." Is any of that true? Because
Mhm.
it's such a script almost. And so when someone asks me, "How are you?" I'll say, "You know what? I feel," kind of like what I did with you today. I was like, I feel I'm in my starting of my luteal phase in my cycle. So I'm starting to, my estrogen, progesterone are starting to decrease. So I'm like, okay, I'm aware of that. And I'm also aware of astrology and a lot of the things, the energy that's happening. And so I'm meeting everything where it is. And I'm telling you, if by any degree you as an individual, and I would love your thoughts on this, if an individual can consider that life is going to unfold the way life does, and it's not at us or happening to us, it can provide so much peace to meet every unfolding of every moment where it is. It's like, ooh, okay, how does that feel in my body? And it does take a long time to remember how to feel. A lot of times when I'm at a networking event, I'll typically ask a woman, "What's your favorite thing about yourself?" And what she'll respond with is something around her ability to help others. I'm like, cool, take others out. What's your favorite thing about yourself? And it takes a few times to dig and get in there a little bit.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. It's like you get a badge of honor each time when, you say, well, I help others, or you hear mothers say, well, I'm all about my children. And it's this thing where it doesn't leave space for those who don't feel that way, right? It doesn't leave space for those who are like, you know what? I don't want kids. I don't feel that nurturing towards the little people like that. My nurturing may be for older people, it may be for women, it may be for men. And I think being able to just accept, it took me a long time,
Mm-hmm.
honey,
Same.
talk about having done the work and still my therapist is like, Cheryl,
Right?
yeah, just so people know, folk like us still have our therapists,
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
you know, but just getting to the place of really recognizing that this thing is not what I'm called to, and that's okay. But this thing may be what I'm called to. Let me tell you something, and I'm going to get really vulnerable and really transparent here. There was a time in my life when I so needed validation from other people, and I wasn't feeling. And the only way I could feel, and this, let me say trigger warning for those, the only way I could feel was to do things to myself. Okay. And I didn't know why that brought me relief because I didn't have the words. Now I know because I wasn't given the freedom to say what I was really feeling. And being another next generation anew, with the strong black woman stereotyping, you gotta be this. And I wasn't feeling that. I was feeling very weak, was feeling very unsure of myself. And I turned that in. And so I am someone who struggled with depression. I am someone who struggled with self harm. And so being here today is not because Boston University or Spelman College felt like I met the requirements. It is because my path had to come this way, which now I know is so that I could be available to be a guide with other women that need to come this way and need someone that can say, not only from head knowledge, but from heart knowledge, I see you. I understand. I'm going to be here with you and we're going to get through this together. I'm going to tell you some hard truths. I'm going to hold space for you to see yourself, but you're going to get to the other side of this. And they trust me because I'm not putting on airs and I'm not trying to be what I am not. We come to this work, and I've only recently started really embracing healer as a part of who I am. Before that just seemed so abstract to me. Growing up in the Christian church, that was laying on of hands kind of stuff, and only men were able to lay those hands on us. And then, boom, we got up and we were healed. And so that was what I understood of a healer or a doctor, those type credentials. I didn't know that my path would bring me to this type of emotional, spiritual healing. And so this feels so sweet to me. It doesn't mean that there are not days that I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? Am I doing all that I could be doing? Could I be doing more of the business more, right? Because the business is always calling you when you're an entrepreneur. But then I get on a call with the woman, and right before me, there's some transformation, or there's some, Cheryl, let me tell you, you're going to be so proud of me. Let me share my wins for the week. And it's like, okay, yeah,
Right?
powerful. Yeah.
Like, oh, we are
Yeah.
doing, we're doing exactly what we're meant to be doing right now, right? And first, thank you for sharing your vulnerability. And I resonate with that a lot. Of that's been part of my story as well. And I feel like because we as a collective, whether it be through mainstream religion or education or through a more patriarchal approach, or whatever you want to call it, and I don't like to villainize anyone, there was only one way to do business. And I feel for me specifically on those days, especially in my luteal phase where I'm feeling a little bit more self-doubt, I'm like, well, I could be doing this or I should be doing this. I'm like, hang on 1 second. To your point, all it takes is me getting into my energy work with a client to kind of put me back into, oh, I'm exactly where I need to be always. And trusting that is hard sometimes, especially for what we've been taught or told.
Yeah. And how often did you experience that when you were in corporate America?
Oh,
That knowing that you were doing the work that you were put here to do.
only when I became the leader of the Women's Employee Resource Group at my corporate job was when I was like, oh, it's this type of stuff. And I still couldn't pinpoint it. I wouldn't have
Mhm,
told you coach or healer, but now I'm
mhm,
like, I look back, I'm like, oh, that's why it felt so good. And I tell you what, when everything in the world is hard to watch, it made it for me, it made it a million times worse being in a corporate job where I wasn't feeling aligned to my favorite self or my purpose. It felt that much worse. I'm not suggesting that everything feels great right now. I'm
mhm.
saying that because I'm walking in my path for raising the vibration of humanity, I'm walking that. I'm observing all that's happening out in the world, and I trust that I'm on the forefront along all of us that are guiding humanity back inward to be able to stand up in a world that is hard to process right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. It is hard to process, but we have to go back to if we understand collective consciousness, because I of course know what's going on. I choose not to be a high consumer of it because one, it evokes fear. And a lot of the decisions get made out of fear. And if I fear you, then I'm really fearing myself.
Mhm.
because I'm connected to you. And I think when you get on a dimension of understanding that we are not separate, you have the groups that believe they are separate from others. And so they're on a, what I would say is a lower frequency, not that is good or bad. It's just that's where they are. And they haven't yet risen to understand that I feel you, I feel your pain. And honestly, if you took away the phenotype, the physical things that we can see, and looked in my soul, you see yourself,
Yep.
right? And
Yes.
if more people understood that this is about the soul, which is eternal, that it only changes, you know, like I'm in this body, but my soul will continue
Hmm.
after and it will
Yes.
go on to do whatever it needs to do. If you understand that, the last thing you would be worried about is me because this is the body I chose to be in.
If we think any humans are in control,
I know.
I love what you're saying so much because a lot of what I talk about is our work right now is to turn inside and ignite our fullest expression of our energetic vibration frequency soul work. When we feel that, we have the ability, without even interacting with each other, to
Mm-hmm.
raise the vibration of humanity. That's how the collective consciousness does raise. And then suddenly
Yes.
we are literally creating the world we wish to exist in. It's
Yes.
both that
Yes.
easy and that hard. I get it because some people are like,
Yeah.
Amy, what are you talking about? But when you get it, it's like, oh, right. So
Yeah.
stand in your light. Find any degree of your light every single day. That's the ask.
That's the ask. That's the ask. It's as simple as, and right, because some of us have been indoctrinated out of that very basic understanding of our humanity. But if you can connect with ever walking into a room and being hit with, okay, what's going on? You feel it. You could not feel that if you were not connected to others. So this is not about religion or anything like that. It is just the awareness that I am connected to you, you're connected to me, and it's this network of connections
Without even having to interface.
without even.
Oh my gosh, I could talk about this all day. And this was me for so long. I only knew how to like 3D. So I forgot what it felt like to be able to feel the energy of a room or a situation. And everyone's like, oh, I'm not intuitive. When you dig a little bit and help them understand what you just said, which is like, when you walk in a room and you just feel something's off or you feel something, they're like, oh, yeah. I'm like, that's it.
That's it. That's it
That's
right
it.
there.
That's all it is.
All you need to do is tap into that and then grow that. Or
Yeah.
it's as simple as a
Yes.
voice told you, go this way today, and you didn't listen. And then you drive up a few more feet and boom, you hit traffic. You're like,
Dang it. Right? Ex-
that, that first mind is the right one.
exactly. Tap into your heart, your gut, or your head. And sometimes it's a head, whatever. The more you ignore that, the further you get from
Mhm.
the place where is your favorite self, where you trust that everything's
Yes.
unfolding for you. And again, that's not like a Pollyanna thing. It's like, oh, okay, everything unfolds. There's actually something, I'm sure you know this already, but in the quantum field, there's
Mm.
been scientific studies that infinite possibilities all exist at once and come to fruition when it is observed. That's wild. And scientifically proven that you can create everything that unfolds before you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
Oprah was talking about this years ago when she was bringing in the Lisa Nichols and all of those folk. What was it? The Gift, I believe that's what it was called, The Gift, and it was a book written. But I was talking to my therapist, and she was saying, I'm telling you how synchronicity, you just brought up quantum physics. And she showed me, she said, Cheryl, they just were able to catch light.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm like, what? And I'm like, oh my God, is that not the most beautiful thing? And so now, if I do my chakra work, I can imagine.
Solar plexus.
Yeah, right. I can imagine that. But then she told me about the law of one. So I'm like, okay, I gotta be all in. Look, I know for some people listening, they were like, oh, y'all getting into all of that, you know.
Yeah.
But if there is something deep inside of you that has questioned and just was a little bit curious about things outside of what everybody has been telling you, then you need to explore that. You just need to explore it. I remember it happening to me in my late teens, early 20s. Like I say, grew up in the church, Baptist, non denominational, Church of God in Christ, Pentecostal. I've been through it. But I always had these questions. And then I think it was in my 30s, I came about the book Conversations with God. And that just like, whoa, it was such an amazing book to hear these questions and answers he was having in these conversations with God. And it just opened up. I mean, like, why are people, someone who seems evil seems to prosper? And why does someone who is good seems to not prosper? Such great questions. And the answers, it was like, no average man would have written this. So if anyone ever gets a chance to read that book, has been out for ages. I think there's even a Conversations of God too. But that for me was the time that I was really opening to it. And then over time, I became more curious about African spirituality. What does that look like? That is calling me. What does that mean? And I'm only recently like open to it. During the pandemic, when we couldn't go to church, that I stopped. And then that felt right for me. So then when it was time to go back, I didn't feel that pull. And I was okay with that. And I had to tell people, look, you can't measure my belief system because I don't go to a building. This type of me to God, me to universe experience. And once I could embrace that, more things became open for me to understand them, to pursue knowledge about them, and to be okay that it may look different than what my family may practice or my friends may understand to be their truth. When you get to the place where life is a mat, your yoga mat to you, then you can get more connected to who you're really meant to be.
Again, that's the whole ask right now, especially in this time and place. Similar to you, all through mainstream religion, I was always asked to look outside of myself to find the truth. That never landed with me. And I didn't really understand spirituality. I didn't understand energy work. I didn't understand nature. And then in my mid 30s, I started to be like, wait, I want to feel good first, like inside of me first.
Mhm.
And what could that look like? And it's not this. And it just has come, about 7 years now. I've just started to touch the surface of going back inward, starting with me first.
Yeah.
And I have this intuitive feeling that it's going to take until I'm 45 to like completely shed the lifelong. And so I'm like, okay, I just understand there's more always. And
Always.
it's not going to end at 45, but it's just,
Look, I'm 60 years old, honey. So I am here to tell you the work isn't done until it's done.
nah. This has gone so fast, Cheryl. We could talk
I
for hours on
know.
this. What are you excited about? What's coming up for you?
Oh, what's coming up for me? Well, I'd have to say right now, the thing I'm most excited about is the work I'm doing in my coaching is bringing forward the Rooted to Rise, which is created specifically for Black women and their unique experiences, but is very welcoming to any women, BIPOC women. Though, look, BIPOC women are the women who I have done my therapy work with. I've worked with women, Black and brown. I have Filipino. I have Southeast Asian. I have African American, Caribbean. I've worked with them all, but their experiences are quite unique. And for me, building the Rooted to Rise is out of my practice. It is out of what I was seeing with all of these really powerful women sitting before me, women that I'm sitting in awe of. You know how when you sit at the foot of the elders, you got, your hand under the chin and you're just listening. These really powerful beings, but yet some of the common threads that I saw or continue to see is a lot of these women struggle with self doubt. And some of this is connected to racialized self doubt out of their trauma experience, whether it's in their home or whether it's out in the world. Women struggling with perfectionism, that resonates with all of us. Okay. But I just specialize in working with Black and brown. But if people can understand that and they're not moved by that, it works for them as well. But perfectionism, how many of us can relate to that? The dealing with overworking and overgiving, where, a lot of my clients equate their worth to productivity and how much caretaking they are doing. And so for me, really building up this program to work with women so they are not only looking at self doubt or imposter syndrome and so forth, but we're starting at the root where we begin with reflecting, which is really about understanding the root causes of self doubt in their lives and looking at the patterns that they might not even be aware of, like constantly seeking validation or feeling the need to be twice as good to be considered equal. Then we move to Orient. And in Orient is where we begin reclaiming their identity and their personal power. And for many women, they want to be their authentic selves. And we're trying to help them move to become their authentic selves, not overshadowed by external expectations. So this way we help them connect with who they truly are and beyond, these social societal projections that happen. And then the third phase is own. And this focus on embodiment work. We talk about this work in the body. This is embodiment work where they're healing from within. They're bringing this stuff on the inside out. And many women are told that their emotions are too much, right? We hear that. So this phase is really about reclaiming their full emotional, what we've been talking about, their full emotional range and acknowledging their lived experiences as valid without needing to seek external validation. Then we move into transform, which is our fourth phase, where we rewrite these limiting beliefs and cultural narratives that have shaped how we see ourselves. And here we develop approaches specifically designed for Black women and brown women's experiences, where we're addressing things like code switching and representation pressure and that strong Black woman stereotype that I talked about earlier. Then in the elevate phase, we focus on sustaining growth and breaking generational patterns. You hit that thing right on the head when you brought that up. And this is about setting boundaries where you, like you said, you had to set some boundaries that this stops with me and this is how it's going to stop with me. But setting those boundaries and connecting to that ancestral wisdom, right? And developing personalized practices that support that ongoing growth beyond these old family or cultural patterns that really no longer serve us. And then we finally end up at deliver. And at deliver, this is about living unapologetically and owning our power. And in this space, we recognize that transformation isn't just personal, that it's about showing up authentically in all spaces and potentially guiding others on similar journeys. Because when women come through this, they may be on path to guide other women as well. And so what makes this system powerful is that it acknowledges both the individual journey and the broader cultural context. And it honors our experiences as Black women without pathologizing them. And it draws both on contemporary as well as research and ancestral wisdom to pull it all together. So that's the thing I'm really working on and I'm most proud of right now.
That's amazing. I can't wait to amplify that. I'm going to pay attention to every post. And I love the method and the throughput all the way to, whoa, standing 10 toes down in your power,
Right?
in your light. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
But this
Cheryl,
is the work we've been doing, right?
right. Once we see the light, it's like, okay, every human gets to, deserves to stand in their light and power. They get to.
Mm.
Oh, thank you for existing.
Thank you.
Where can we, Cheryl, where can we find you? How can we support your work?
Yes, well, you can find me at SheroldeHackett.com. That's Cheryl spelled SheroldE, Hackett, HACKETT.com. Or you can go to BeTheBalanceWoman.com, all word. And the same on my Instagram handles as well, Be the Balanced Woman. And on LinkedIn, you can find me under Cheryl Hackett, or I also have a Be the Balanced Woman page on LinkedIn as well.
Closing remarks as we wrap up.
I would say that the work that we are all here to do is our work. And it is important that we each respect and honor what our friends, our families, our foes are called to do. But the most important task that we all have is to reconnect and rediscover why we are here and what we're called to do so that it can open up for us the people that we're supposed to touch in this lifetime. I think that's the final thing that I would say about it.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amy.